Well, hello everyone. How are you all doing? Hope you're all great, doing awesome. I'm on my mobile, so I can't actually see everybody this week. So I guess you're all there. So I want to talk to you today about something that has been percolating in my spirit, and and some of the conversations that we've had here as well. And I want to talk to you about the state of being. Now, lots of people are representing, a state of being, like being in rest and being in peace. And I talk about that as well because it's really important. But I don't feel that people are sharing the fundamentals of it. And a state of being is, your state of heart, it's a state of mind. And this is where we talk about, the knowing the absolutes of God actually brings all that into alignment, so that if you are in a situation, you know how to stay in that state of being. Because I find, lots of people talk about being at rest and being at peace and that sense of being, but when it's under pressure, is when you actually see who they really are and what's really going on for them. And it's also good for ourselves to see what comes out under pressure, because then that's something that we can, um, you know, contemplate and process and then deal with the things that are not there when you're under pressure. Like being in peace and knowing who God is for you under pressure is fundamental, because then you don't go into a fear and flight response. You stay in a peace response. You stay over the situation, over circumstances in that state of being. So I want to talk a little bit more about actually what this can be and feel like in the spirit. And that is, state of being occurs inside but also outside of us. So, meaning that our inner state of being has an outward expression. So, I want to break some of that down for you today, but also in a sense of knowing when it's God, and not coming from, a fear aspect, but processing God. Is this you? Like coming to asking that question so that you're aware of what's happening spiritually. Because my belief is that the supernatural supersedes the natural, and we need to learn to be supernatural. We need to learn to be spiritual beings. So, where spirit beings having a human experience is often the phrase that you may hear. And to me, that is true. So, to me, it's more important being in my spirit than it is being in the natural world, in the physical world, so to speak. But it's the balance that we have between the both that we are processing through, how to be balanced in that. Some there used to be a saying years ago, "Oh, you're too spiritual that you know earthly good." Well, that's a lie, because when you are balanced in being spiritual and releasing it into the natural, that is what we're meant to live and be. So, I want to talk about some of the expressions of what happens physically in the spirit in that state of being. So, when you're you're talking to somebody, and this sense of the spirit, like they're speaking life, it like it floods over you, and that is a state of being. That is what's happening on the outside, of physically to you, because of what God is doing, that you're actually feeling that. And so it can be like a washing over, and you can get, your goosebumps. and something, oh, I went all goosey because there's life being spoken on the words. There's life in the conversation and there's truth. So therefore your whole being is responding to it. And that's a physical aspect. So you can get, the goosebumps on your back or, on your neck. Sometimes it can be on your arms. It can be a partial body experience, but it's still, a sign. Because you've got to remember, Jesus walked in signs and wonders. So, and then there's the other scale where everything's a sign, like, oh yeah, I saw a number plate and it had this number on it, so it's a sign. It's like we've got to be balanced, guys. It's not superstition, it's not hit and miss aspect. It is know that you know when God is moving and how God is moving. So some of the other experiences I'm going to talk about physically is that you can feel a heat, a feeling of feeling hot can flush over you. And it's really interesting. I find a lot of women, go, oh, it's menopause. Okay, no, it's not. Don't get mixed up with, what God is doing and then what the material world or the natural world has told you, to dismiss this aspect of what God does. So, you can have a burning sensation in a specific spot. I've had burning in my feet, and then I have this compulsion that I need to run, and I'll run on the spot, and I know that in the natural, I can't do that, but this is something that the spirit is doing. And then there is a reason for it. There's always a reason why God does the things that he does. And guys, it can be because he's teaching you how to experience him, or he's showing you or letting you know, he's bringing assurance on what you're doing or the path that you've taken, so that it's a reassurance. He's guiding you, he's directing you. And again, it doesn't matter what is before you. If you ask God, can you confirm this? I'm hearing you, but please just reconfirm. And he will do that. And don't think that you can't ask him if you need to up to 10 times. Like, he's very patient and able to direct your path. And there's nothing wrong with being, know that you know that you know, because it grows that. It grows your confidence in who he is and what he wants to be for you and in the steps that you are taking. So don't be like, some people where they jump off the fence basically and go, yep, we're going to do this. And then it's all going pear shaped, and then turn around and go, oh God, can you bless this? We need to partner with God in everything that we do. So the very presence of God, it can run through you, it can go over you, and it can stay on us. Like I said, sometimes it's like a wave, it's a washing over you experience. And then there's the full body experience, where there's a full body vibration, that every part of your body is just vibrating or resonating, or you've got goosebumps from the tip of your head to the tip of your toes. And as one of the beautiful people on here shared, that she had that while she was asleep, it woke her up and she wasn't sure what was going on. And that is a very powerful exchange, because all of this is an exchange with God. He's exchanging things that, are bringing alignment. We don't always know exactly what he's doing, but trust it, and just, let him bring that exchange, because often he can bring that with a sense of alignment, but also it's like we take things on. We take things on in the world where we're feeling stressed or anxious, but we might not even be aware that we've done that. And then the wave of God will gently come and just wash over you. And then you go, oh, wow. Oh, I didn't realize I was carrying that. Like something just shifted. And this is God working on your behalf. And part of what we need to really understand that God is always working on your behalf. His absolute heart's desire is to bring you into the fulfillment of your destiny, of your purpose, of his plan for you. And he's always working towards us. And in this, there are sometimes people get really frustrated because, like, well, God's not doing what I'm asking to do. And there's a delay in being of answers, and there's a reason for that. And then there are times where things get blocked. And I've learnt when things are being blocked, there's a reason. And often it's because God is protecting me. He's protecting me from myself. He's protecting me from other things that are trying to come at me. And so this is where, you know, again, you ponder the absolutes in God. You get this knowing, you get this inner peace that always stays there no matter what the circumstances are, because God is working on your behalf and he's always there. So, you know, sometimes the full body vibration, it can be a levitation. Now, some religious people are going to freak out. You've got to understand that the enemy or Satan cannot create anything. He only duplicates what's already made. So he's taken a lot of these incredible gifts in the spirit and deemed them as his when they are actually ours. They were actually God's first. And this is part of some of the mind shifts that need to change, because we go, oh, levitation, oh, that's from the devil. No, actually, God created it first. And if you want a scripture for that, what happened when Jesus ascended into heaven? Let me think. I think that was a levitation. Like, we've got to start not reading the Bible like it's an absolute law, which what we've been taught, as in let me clarify that, as in it's rules and regulations and it's punishment. It is signs and wonders. It's awe. It's the supernatural. It's the very heart and the very flavor of God that is available to us. You know, and you can have a floating experience. Sometimes, you know, my head feels like it's floating, and I'm like, oh, okay, something's going on. Doesn't mean that I'm physically floating, but I have that sense of floating, or I have that sense of floating in my spirit. And it's like the saying, oh, it's like you're walking on air. Wonder what that is. See, this is the big shift that we're coming into, guys. We've got to start claiming back the things that have been deemed as demonic, as, you know, belongs to Satan, when they don't. They belong to us, and they are there for a purpose. God does everything with purpose. He does everything with um, a purpose, it has a reason, it has meaning, it has an action that brings about good things. So these are, again, some of the things we need to ponder on. The other thing that can happen is, you know, you break out in song. When was the last time you broke out in song? When was the last time you broke out in laughter? And I tell you, there's nothing like a good belly laugh in the spirit, in the natural, that shifts so much. It just brings such a realignment. It brings healing to your body. It really is awesome. There's nothing like a good laugh. And you know what's even more beautiful? When you get with people and you can have a good laugh. It's not a laugh that's depraved. It's not a laugh at someone else's expense. It's just sharing a moment that is funny or beautiful and just brings joy. And, you know, if we had a community that just learnt to laugh, mate, people's offences would wash away, people's hang-ups would disappear, and the judgment and the criticism, all of those things would just go away because they're not part of laughter. They're not part of joy. Now, I can assure you, laughter and joy is not part of the enemy's strategy. It's not part of who he is. It's only a part of God's nature and character. And these are the things we need to get hold of. Sometimes you just need to get loud. Sometimes and I love it when I'm in my car by myself, because sometimes it's just a good yes, or come on, God, we're doing this. Whatever you need to do to help shift coming under the stuff that's trying to sit on us, that's not from God. Okay, it's a good scream is okay as well. Like sometimes you face things and it can be frustrating. Well, don't stay frustrated. Release it. Get it out of your body. Get that tension out of your body. This is so important that we release all this negativity, because if we hold these things in our body we become sick, because it is a toxic feeling or a toxic energy, and the body's trying to dispel it. It's trying to get rid of it, because our bodies are incredibly made. And so again, if you've had a hard day with the kids, don't just keep layering it with more hard days. Go outside, get in your car, do whatever you need to do. Have a good scream, have a good, oh my gosh, I can't do this, whatever you need to do, and hand it over. Because when we do that, we are handing things over to God, and that's giving God permission to come to our aid. Because we can do things our way, we can do things in our own strength, we can do things in the natural. But again, I've learnt, if I do things in my flesh, I have to maintain it in the flesh. Now, think about that for a minute. If you're striving to do things in your own abilities, in your own, in your natural state of being, then you have to maintain that. And that is really, really hard work, because this is where the scripture says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So if you are feeling burdened, if you are feeling weighed down, then you need to shake it off. You need to let go of it. Ask God what it is. What are you hanging on to? And then let it go. Often, most of us carry financial issues. It's just the way that, Satan's basically set it up, with all the things that we contract with, and we get into a bigger, deeper hole in the sense of finances. So, okay, there's a couple of practical things here. It's like, all right, why am I feeling so under pressure financially? And is it because you've tried to keep up with the Joneses, or you're trying to keep up appearances that, you look successful, but you are in a lot of debt to be in that state? Now, the word debt is related to the word death. We don't want to be in debt. We don't want to be in death. God didn't give us death. He gave us life, and life abundantly. So this is where, in the practical, sometimes we've got to simplify our lives. Sometimes we've got to downgrade, or we've got to go, you know what? Yep, I really love that car, but I can't afford it. Get practical. And then start coming back up to a place where you are blessed, where things start to happen in a different way. I hope that made sense. Sometimes God's presence can come on you like a lightning bolt, like it's electricity. I had a friend once. I was holding a meeting and she saw lightning hit me. It was like a lightning bolt went through me, and then the whole meeting went into a different level because God's presence intensified, and it intensified with purpose and with a plan. And basically it lifted the roof off this meeting, and people were getting healed. People were getting set free because this extra jolt of power just, come on in, God. And we, go with that. And it rejuvenates. And sometimes those experiences, can I say, guys, when that happens to me, I don't sleep for days because I am so buzzing in the spirit, and I don't need sleep and I don't need food. And I'm just on this go, 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 because there's this supercharged, supernatural power that comes from God, that can come from God. Sometimes you're in situations where you need it. When I was doing the floods, like we were working 18-hour days when we were assisting people in the floods in 2022. Well, and then 4 hours, and we did that for weeks. We did that for 6 weeks straight until the government came and stopped us. And, you can do things in this extraordinary power because that's what God gives you. So, at the end of all of this, guys, ask for these things. Be aware that they're available to you. That's the most important thing. There's so much available to us that has been never talked about, or it's been classed as demonic or not of God, when actually all of it comes from God. All the good things that are available to us come from God. And he's like, these are for you. You don't buy your kids a whole heap of toys and put them in a room and lock it. Who does that? God has all these amazing things for us. And there's so much more to access in the spirit realm. There's so much more that we can be available to us if we opened our hearts and opened our minds to think differently, to behave differently, to let him bring change when change is needed. And just, this has been my prayer for a very long time. God, let your whisper be enough. Let me hear your whisper, and I know exactly what it is you're doing, or what you want, or how you want me to do something, or the words that I need to speak. Let it be a whisper. And let every breath that I take, be filled with you. So that, every situation, and people go, okay, let's engage God in this circumstance. And they only bring God into certain situations in their life. I'll give you another analogy. To me, it's like we invite God in through the front door into the entry of our house, but we don't invite him into any other room. So you might have grown to invite him into the kitchen. You might have invited him into the lounge room. But there's a whole lot of other rooms in a house that we need to bring God's presence into. And that's just part of being open. And there's nothing we can hide from him anyway. I find it interesting. People think they can hide. They can hide their finances, or they can hide what goes on in the bedroom. And it's like God sees all anyway. He knows all anyway. So I come from the precept, well, God, you know it all anyway. Here it is all on the table. Honesty is the best policy. Can I just say that right now? Because there's nothing that we can hide from him. And some people might get afraid from that. They might go, oh, I don't feel comfortable with that. Well, then you need to ask why you don't feel comfortable with that. What have you got to hide? Why do you feel that you have to hide? And and on that note, often it's because we don't feel that we're good enough. The root issue there is often we think that we're not good enough for God, so we don't want him to see our imperfections. He already sees our imperfections and he already loves us regardless of those imperfections. He loves us and he accepts us fully. So, I guess the state of being, guys, is we're always in him and he can always be in us. But there's nothing that you can hide and nothing that you can, nothing that he doesn't already know or see. And this is, there's some beautiful scriptures that state that he already knows what we need. And that I think a lot of you would know where he talks about, even the birds don't have to worry about what tomorrow brings because they're already looked after. And we need to come to that realization. So the great exchange of the state of being is we change from natural to the supernatural. We exchange our fear for his peace. We exchange death for life, sadness for joy, sickness for health. There's an exchange. And and it's, a case of handing these things over. So I want to reiterate today again about the absolutes of God, which is the attributes of God, right? And I'm going to throw some scriptures here for everyone as well. So, he holds everything together, which is in Colossians 1:17. He's great, powerful, and understanding, which is in Psalm 147. He doesn't change. He's constant in his character. He's constant in his desires for you. And remember, I said to you, we don't have a schizophrenic God. Well, the scripture for that is Malachi 3:6. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever in Romans 8. The other aspect is God is self-sufficient. God has no needs. His desire is for us to have fellowship with him. That's John 5:2. He's strong and mighty. He's all powerful. There's nothing he can't do. I love Ephesians 3:20 where he says he can do immeasurably more than what we ask or imagine. Just think about that for a minute. Have you ever sat down and let your imagination go into what you would like your life to be? It's immeasurable. He can go beyond that. He's all knowing. Like I said, there's nothing hidden in Isaiah. In Jeremiah 23, God is close. In other words, he's not a God from a distance. Do you remember the Bette Midler song that, went, God is from a distance, God is watching us? And it's another lie that they programmed us with because everyone goes, oh, yeah, God's really distant. No. And for you that are unaware, a lot of the songs that become hit songs are often got witchcraft placed over them because they are sent with an intention, which can cause programming, which can alter your life because of what they've placed on it. So we got to be careful what we listen to. And the other thing is, where can I go from your spirit? Psalm 31. Where can I hide from you, God? No, can't hide in the bedroom, can't hide in the kitchen, can't hide in the cupboard, because God is always with us, and He's always, He's watching, but His heart is to partner with us. And these are all part of your state of being. It's knowing that God is with you in every circumstance, every situation, every conversation. God is with us. So I'm going to stop there. Is there any questions? Jenny, you'll have to guide me through that. And just to let everyone know, I'm Dottie. This is not Narelle. I'm on Narelle's phone because she's helping me do my business today, and we had to swap phones, otherwise she couldn't make sales for me. So I'm Dottie, not Narelle. Any questions?
I don't see any hands raised. Anybody?
Oh, is there anyone there?
Oh, they're here. Yeah.
Awesome. Can't even see their beautiful faces.
Yeah, so I'll say something that, this is something simple that, I've had to learn experience through it. So I appreciate the detail and, on what it feels like, even the physical parts, of what it is when that it's God speaking to you. I've never
Yeah,
experienced the feet. I have had the vibration in my heart. That was wild. That
yeah,
that I never experienced anything like that. um, but usually
cool.
it feels more like a joy coming over
Yeah,
me. So for me, that's, I really like that feeling. So he must just make that happen all the time. But I know that
yeah,
I know. So,
yeah. And then when you get that joy, you have to let out a little laugh, don't you?
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I do. And I tear up a bit too. I just get so
yeah,
wound up.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because, God's presence can be incredibly overwhelming, and it can, often when he moves in a really incredible way, like the flood of gratitude that flows over me when God is meeting people's needs, and, he uses me to help other people, which is my greatest joy in life. Um, I it's the gratitude that rises up, which turns into tears, because I'm just, overwhelmed with the the privilege of partnering with God, and God wanting to partner with me. And, so sometimes it can bring incredible joy, and can bring tears too. Um, so it's I think being part of state of being is being true to yourself as well. It's like, we don't dismiss your emotions, which again the religious have taught. I used to get told off as a young girl, "Oh, you wear your heart on your sleeve," and I said, "Well, at least I'm honest." Right? Like, people could see where I was at, and I'm okay with that, because guess what? God can see where I'm at. But, from a religious hierarchical point, "Oh, Dot, you wear your heart on your sleeve. Everyone can see, where you're at." I'm going, "Well, I'd rather be truthful and integral than be hiding." And then, you know what? These particular pastors were having affairs left, right, and center. So, yeah, no wonder they wouldn't put their heart on the sleeve. So, often it's, people will try and condemn you for what they're too afraid of themselves.
That is so true. I've experienced, well, obviously, we all have many types of people, but the people I most endear myself to because they're endearing are the people that tell the hard truth to me. That's attractive to me because then I know I can trust you. If you're willing to
Yeah,
say the hard stuff,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But also, to be open, like, guys, I have battles. I have family. I've been through some incredible family situations that have been absolutely heartbreaking. And I'm not going to sit here and go, yeah, my life's perfect. It is in God, but I live in this world and I have people in my life that make choices that can be devastating to see them go through those things because of their choices. And it's even when they've been warned, like don't do this because this is what's going to happen, and they do it anyway. And then you got to pedal them out of it because their life is such a mess. Um, and that's heartbreaking. That's like, well, sometimes I want to go, well, if you had listened, but people have free will, and that's the beauty of God as well, is he never goes against your free will. He will never force you to do or be anything than what you're prepared to do and be. So and it's, if you're having a hard time and you want to align your state of being back into, being in that spirit, and out of this natural realm, sometimes it's sitting there thinking about the things that you're grateful for. Grateful for who God is and what he is to you. When it's not even about what he does, just contemplating on the very nature and character of God just, you know, warms my heart, and often to overflowing. Because we all can get into, oh, this is not happening and this is not, going right. And, oh, why hasn't this happened? And I go, hang on, I must stop, because that is the wrong frequency. It's the wrong energy. It doesn't align with God's heart, because he knows what he's doing. And surrender is the big key here. Hand it over to him. And the key is, don't pick it back up again. People go, yep, I'll hand my kids over and, I'm going to trust God with them. And they start to have progress. And then I've seen parents pick it all up again and hang on to it because they're trying to do it. Does that make sense to everybody? And then it's like, no, don't pick it back up again. Once you surrender something, completely surrender it. And what I've learned is that when I surrender things, I then am out of the way and I'm releasing God to do what he needs to do. And I get quicker answers when I do that. Okay, God, I've got this financial situation. I didn't put myself in that situation. That's just what's happened. So can you please help me with it? And God responds. That's his heart. He wants to respond. Yeah.
I have one last question. Well, this is my question. Nobody's got their hand up, so I'm going to go. All right. So answer this in the way that you feel comfortable, if at all.
Yep.
How long did it take you to know that you were hearing from God?
Well, when I had my spiritual encounter at the age of 23, and the heavens opened. Okay, so I saw angels and I saw demons. So I saw just all these realms open up to me. And the authority that I had in that moment was, I looked at the enemy and I said, you can't touch me anymore. And from that day on, I just knew that I could hear God and I was connected with God. Now, the process that I went through, because things were coming out of my mouth that were like blowing people away. Like I was reading people's mail. Now, guys, I wasn't looking to read people's mail. It was just coming out of my mouth. And a lot of people didn't like that. And I had to learn grace. That's one of the things I had to learn, because I'm a very black and white person. So I had to learn how to say things with grace and in the right time. So I had to learn, just because you can see everything doesn't mean that you speak it all. So remember that bull in the china shop experience that I shared? That's me. And I've learnt now I learnt very quickly to hold my tongue. And because I was so hungry to make sure that anything that I spoke was from God, I grabbed the scripture in Ephesians, which is what he showed me. And I take all my own thoughts and all my imagination and I bring it captive. I take it captive to the heart of God. And that is a tool that the Spirit showed me. And I've shared that with you guys as a tool. That way my mind would go still, and then any thoughts that came back into my mind were just God's thoughts, his heart, he's what he was showing and telling me. So that's how I really sharpen that tool, Jenny, by not saying things so quickly and then taking control of it in the Spirit. I'm taking my own thoughts, my own, my own imaginations, and I bring them into the captive of the Spirit of God's heart. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, and I've stepped on my own tongue because you're just so naturally in it. You see it and you think everybody else does, right? It's
Yeah.
that Joseph with the coat of many colors. Like, don't tell everything right away. Just don't.
That's exactly right. So this is where we embrace wisdom. Okay, so I mean, there's some things I'm still learning. I often have, I can look at someone and I know what's going on with them. Well, let me give you an example. There was a gentleman that visited our house, and I didn't know him personally, but I looked at him, and the Spirit told me that he was going to have a heart attack. I go, well, how do you go up to someone and say, excuse me, you're about to have a heart attack? Now, this has happened to me a number of times. And within 2 days, that's exactly what has happened. And I really struggle with that because I'm going, oh, maybe I should have said something. But it was like I didn't get told anything more. I didn't get told to tell him. Right. So therefore, just because you're hearing something, you need to get the next level. You need to ask the questions. Okay, what do you want me to do with that, God? Do you want me to go in the Spirit, or do you want me to actually say something? Okay, and it's really, I mean, it'd be great to be able to just blurt it all out, everybody. It would be so much easier. It's like, okay, don't do this, don't do that. Yep, this is going to happen here. Don't. It would be so much easier, but that's not the permission that I've been given in the Spirit. And the other key to this is often God will show you things because once you see it, he can then move on that situation. That's a really important key. It's because you've seen it, he can now partner, and not just with you, but you are releasing him to move on the earth and do things, if that makes sense. So it's not always us having to do something, because that used to really frustrate me. I would see so much stuff. I'd have dreams left, right, and center. I go, God, what am I meant to do with all of this? He goes, I'm just showing you so that I can do something. You're not meant to do anything. You've already done it by seeing it and being open to seeing it. Leanna, how are you, darling?
Good, thanks, Dottie. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Dottie, I just wanted to share a recent experience and just to sort of get your insights. I'm in a group called Toastmasters, and we just practice public speaking skills and the like at these meetings. And I'm at a point now where I'm actually sensing the thoughts of the other people in the group. So I'll get up to do a presentation, and I can actually sense that it's the message is either not landing for people, or they're just not interested. So that sort of is having an impact on me. And I was just wondering, how do you deal with that, Dottie? Because I can imagine there'll be many times where you've got to do a presentation or speak to groups of people, and you just know that they're either not interested, or they're not understanding, or so just wanted to get your insights on that.
Well, yes, I can answer that. And yes, have faced some very many interesting situations like that. So, there's a couple of ways you can deal with it. Number one, you can go, well, does it really matter what, if they're getting it or not? That's their responsibility, and it's also free will. Okay. If I have seen something divisive in my meetings where I see two people actually being very critical, or they're having a bitch, and they're trying to infiltrate the flow, because that's what they're actually trying to do, I'll shut it down. And I'll do it two ways. I have confronted someone face to face. I'm not afraid to do that. So I have, pulled them up and going, look, if I've turned around and said, if you two have nothing nice to say, maybe you better leave. And that certainly rocks their boat, because they think that I don't know what they're saying, right? But I know exactly what's going on. And particularly if it goes on, if some people can just say something, you go, yeah, whatever. But if they were particularly being disruptive, and then it becomes disruptive around the people around them, then I will just say, look, if you guys got nothing nice to say, you might as well leave. You're not meant to be here. They'll either change their attitude, or they'll get up and walk out, and I don't have a problem with that. I've had meetings of 350 people, and I've had witches and warlocks that are in there to be divisive, and I've called them out. Not directly, but I've just said, anyone here that does not have the right heart and agenda, any entities that are not meant to be here, I just tell you to leave right now, and they will get up and walk out. They have to, because I have authority and power. But most of the time, honestly, really it's like, it doesn't matter. Just keep doing what you're doing. Sometimes it can it can cause a greater depth of the spirit to rise up on me, because I want to counteract what they're doing, and I just release more of God into the atmosphere. Or I'll move in words of knowledge, or insight, and often there's a reason, and 9 times out of 10 those people end up in their chair crying, because God's setting them free. So I don't take it too personally anymore. I just move with what God's doing, and each is responsible for themselves. But
Okay.
you're growing more in your ability. And scripturally it even says that Jesus knew the thoughts. God knows the thoughts of people. I know the thoughts of people. I can pick up on it, but I can also choose not to. So you can control that. You can.
Okay.
Otherwise it can be very overwhelming, because you're picking up on everyone, and sometimes you can react and go, what am I reacting to? Because you're picking up from someone else. So this is where, again, having the shield of God, knowing who you are in the spirit, is really important, so that you don't get sidetracked, or other people's energy can try and come and suck your energy. You need to stop that. Right?
Okay.
So acknowledge it and go, yep, I'm not coming under that. And then you just keep doing what you're doing. I hope that helped.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Dottie. Thank you so much.
We have Hans and Lisa.
Hans and Lisa.
Yeah, hello, both. I
Hello.
want to ask you a question about the thoughts that people can read, right? Because I think we all can do this, and it is not even hard to do. But what I learned is that you cannot do that without kind of permission, because that's actually stealing, and because we have all the free will. Some people are not aware of that, but yeah, what I learned is that it is actually stealing somebody's thoughts, which is not nice to do. But if you can be on a conversation like you pointed out, it could be very helpful if you know. So actually, I don't know if it is true what I learned, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so how can you be stealing someone else's thoughts?
If you tune in, let's say in other one's a personal space and tune in their energy, then you actually read it and you can abuse that, right? So you can also make use of it.
Okay, so that's a better explanation. Yes, you can abuse it and you can use it for your own gain, which is what the enemy does. That's
Yes.
not what God does.
Yeah.
But we need to be aware of that because they're trying to use that on us.
Yeah.
Okay, so to me, that's not stealing the thought. To me, that is they're trying to use and abuse it. What they're and this is where part of the key here, and I know that Jenny asked about this, is how to stay hidden.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that people can't read you. They can't read your thoughts. They can't read your heart. But look, anyone that comes within 5 feet of me that's coming to try and manipulate me, I'll shut them down in the spirit because I already know their agenda. And we're meant to know their agendas. That is part. Jesus knew everyone's agenda, and he called it out. So we don't have to always call it out, but we certainly have to protect ourselves from it as well.
Actually, if you look at it, then my thoughts were not so strange, right? Because it is actually, if Jesus pointed out, then it is not a good thing to do, and you have to stay hidden. So protection is needed for that, because otherwise they will suck you energy and suck your essence or whatever they do.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, so it's a little bit, if you want a scripture for this, guys, remember when he confronted the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and then they wanted to grab him and he disappeared?
Oh, okay.
Right? Jesus disappeared. They're going, where is he? Where is he? Oh, he must have just, disappeared in the crowd. Well, he actually disappeared.
Yeah.
Oh, he's hidden.
Yeah, and how do you do this, Lotik? Can you explain that? Because I'm not sure about.
Well, you can be hidden, but we'll make that another subject, actually, Lisa, because I've got to go. I've got to go. But I am planning on bringing that subject, so that I'll teach you guys how to do that in the spirit, but also, how to guard yourselves as well, because we are surrounded by, energy vampires. We are surrounded by people that will try and suck the life out of you. To be honest, guys, I pick that up and I'll walk away. I won't even engage with them because I'm protecting myself.
Yeah.
So, and I'll try and have that ready for next week. I won't promise, but I'll try. But we will have that discussion in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right. And guys, honestly, please, if there's any particular subject or something you want understanding on, please, can you message Jenny and she'll let me know. I am happy to address anything that can help you guys. So please, there's no, let's just break this spirit of, well, is it a dumb question? There's no dumb questions. Let's put that on the table right now. It's important that we learn these things. It's important that we really know who we are and who God is, so that we are learning. We are growing in our power, in our strength, in our relationship with God. It's fundamental for what we need to do in this season
Yeah.
and in the times to come. Yeah, beautiful.
So,
All right,
so
I'm
yeah.
going to have to go because I've got someone working on my behalf, and I'll see you next week. Yeah, love you
Thank you,
guys.
Daddy.
Hope you
Thank
enjoyed
you
that.
all. Thank you, Dottie.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Dottie.
Bye.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Jenny.
Dottie. Thanks, Jenny.
Bye. Love you guys.